the recording. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Pam Popper, you got in touch with me. Actually, you were introduced to me by the Health Sovereignty Summit, and they think very highly of you. And you have some stuff that you want to share with the president because we agree that he is being misled on the whole COVID-19 thing. So very briefly, before you tell us about what you want to communicate to the president, tell us a little bit about yourself and your wellness company and where you're coming from.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Pam Popper. I'm president and founder of a company called Wellness Forum Health. We're based in Columbus, Ohio. We've been in business for 25 years. And what we do is really kind of a form of medical journalism. We specialize in informed medical decision-making, which means we've created these huge libraries of information and educational courses so that people can learn about anything from what do you do if you have kidney stones to cancer treatment, okay? And we also own a school called the Wellness Forum Institute, which has been in business for 10 years, and we train health professionals who want to use our approach to health, which is evidence-based collaborative decision-making. A lot of times diet and lifestyle change are part of it. I don't want to take drugs or have a surgery or something of that nature. So anyway, whenever something new comes out, it's my job as head of this company to investigate it. And something new could be a new drug, a new procedure, somebody identifies a new disease. I mean, it could be anything, or a new treatment. And so the something new here was this COVID thing. And I had a particular interest in it when it surfaced because I had done a lot of writing back in 2009 and 10 and predicted, by the way, long before CBS looked into it, that there was no pandemic of the H1N1. I think they called it an epidemic back then. But what caught my attention was when the CDC issued a statement saying, we're so overloaded with cases that we don't want anybody to test anymore. Just assume that if somebody has a sniffle or a fever that they've got H1N1 and report it as such. And I thought, you know what? They're trying to fool everybody into thinking there's a pandemic or an epidemic. And that's what happened. And it all became public because CBS News did an investigatory piece on it. And they have a lot more resources than me. So they actually got Freedom of Information Act lawsuits against the various state departments of health and all that. And so it turned out I was right. They had fabricated it. And one of the reasons was they wanted to gin up interest in a flu vaccine because it's always been the hardest one to talk people into. So this kind of looked like that to me. And I made an initial video. I have a YouTube channel that's fairly popular. And I put it out there and I said, this isn't a pandemic. It's, they hadn't declared it as such yet, but people were talking about, oh my gosh, it's the flu. I mean, the president actually was saying this in the beginning before he got misled. So what happened as a result of that video, normally I put out a video or maybe two about something, but the response was amazing. So I started creating more videos and looking into it and people started sending me things. And at a certain point in time, I got up to the place where I was getting like 3,000 and 4,000 emails a day. And a lot of it coming from people who were doing investigating for me. Like I found this document was on the Italian health department's website and I translated it for you and that sort of thing. So I sort of ended up with this team of journalists all over the world. And then I decided I was going to write a book about it. So I started spending 40 or 50 hours a week looking into it. And what basically has happened is that we have been told that we have a highly contagious disease with a high death rate, and that justifies all this stuff that's going on, but that's absolutely not what's going on. And I think that everybody is starting to figure that out. I mean, just by way of example, here in Ohio, one day, a couple days ago, there were 12 people in the hospital and the governor is putting out these messages. Everybody has to wear masks. I mean, it's a disaster. 12 people in the hospital and we have 12 million people in the state. I mean, you can see the panic about 12 people in the hospital. It's just insane. So anyway, here's what I'm getting at. There's so much to this story and I could talk for 15 days and not run out of material. Read my book, I guess is what I'd say. But here's my message to the president. What's happened and what is going on right now is it is quite clear that there's no returning to normal ever. And the more things get better, the worse they get for people. And so Fauci, I've written entire reference papers, 40, 50 references on the mistakes that Fauci's made. I mean, one day he says that
They're not mistakes. He's bought and paid for.
right, right. But one day he publishes an article in the New England Journal of Medicine saying it's going to be about the same death rate as seasonal flu, and 2 days later he's in front of Congress saying it's going to be 10 times worse. Well, those two things cannot be true in 48 hours of one another. Okay, you just don't change your mind that quickly if you're using evidence. He used a model that was 96% off. I mean, Deborah Birx got on television and told doctors to forge the death certificates. If a person gets hit by a bus and they're COVID positive, okay. So we all have seen that happen. And so what's happening now is just complete and total chaos. So we have a governor in Ohio who's making everybody wear masks for no reason whatsoever. People are getting into fights. There was somebody killed in Michigan over masks. Some states are worse than others, and for a while it seemed that the blue states were worse, and that was a kind of a dividing line. Maybe to a certain extent that could work to the president's benefit, but now the red states are looking like blue states. They're doing the same thing. The tests are fake tests. A few days ago, Florida reported tens of thousands of positive tests in one day. All tests were positive. This is statistically impossible. An 8th grade algebra student can tell you that this is statistically impossible. Okay?
No, it's 99% false positives.
Yeah. So we're using a bad test. We're still forging death certificates, et cetera. So
we're also combining multiple tests. I mean,
yes.
the lack of intellectual integrity by the
It's
CDC
huge.
and the states that are going along with it is quite stunning.
It is stunning. There's no evidence involved in anything, and no, you can't have an intellectual discussion. I mean, I'm an evidence girl. All I want to talk about is evidence, and then everybody else wants to just talk about, well, there's 12 people in the hospital. Okay, well, that's evidence, but I'm telling you that that doesn't make any difference. All right, so here's what has to happen. I think that the president cannot win the election unless he does something fairly soon, and I'm going to get to why I think soon has to be part of this whole thing. What's happening out here, if you're running for re-election, one of the first questions you ask is, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And most people in Ohio, where I live, which is an important state to carry, would say no. And if then you ask the follow-up question, do you think it's going to get better anytime soon? They'll say no. Every morning I get up and it's worse than it was yesterday. They're taking more things away from us. That we still can't have a concert. The arts community is completely decimated. You can't go to a movie. So everybody
schools. I mean, the children can't go to schools, which
right.
means parents can't go to work.
Right. So every day is worse than the day before. All right. And so I hear sometimes, I'll get to what I propose as a solution in a minute, but I hear sometimes that at some point in time, in some distant time that we don't know what it is, that there's going to be some good news about everything and it's all going to be great. But I'm going to tell you something. If it doesn't get great soon, you're going to get a bunch of people who are demoralized, and we're going to throw the election to Biden, not because people are going to vote for him, but because people are going to be so demoralized they're not going to vote. And I will say to you, Mr. President, if you watch this video, if you think that on October 20th, you're going to put something out there that's fabulous, and all these people who've gone bankrupt and their kids aren't in school and they don't have money for food and their business that they built for 25 years is gone, if you think they're going to go, oh, now it's all going to be okay, there's a point of no return. We thought we were going to get locked down yesterday, and we didn't. I think the governor had actually planned it. But had he done it, and he could do it tomorrow because nothing's based on anything like facts, the people who were just crawling out would be gone forever. Restaurants still can't open. It's ridiculous. So here's what has to happen. The first thing that I would do if I were talking to you, President Trump, is I would say you have got to get rid of Mr. Fauci. I won't call him doctor anymore. And we can provide a team of physicians and epidemiologists and actuaries and people who've been emailing me who are incredibly qualified, much more so than him, who will have your back. And every day we start a press conference at 6 o'clock like you used to do. Only this time we have real doctors with real data who get up there every day. And the first press conference is somebody, I have a few people in mind, we get up there and say, we're going to take you through the beginning and we're going to show you, medical doctors saying this, how this has been screwed up since the beginning of time. That's press conference number one. And every day this happens where we put out data and data and data and data, and I have tons of it, and I'll prepare the data. I will put as much time into this. I don't want any money. I don't want any recognition. I just want to be helpful. I will put as much time into it as required to put the message out that this has all been a hoax, all right? And by the way, just to let you know, every year the CDC says 1 billion with a B people get the flu every year worldwide. We now have fewer than 15 million with an M cases, and the world's locked down. What the heck is this, right? So we have to start setting the record straight. The second thing is starting tomorrow, if I'm in charge, You're out there every day someplace, even if it's 500 people at the Columbus airport who decide that they're going to take the risk and show up, even though 12 people are in the hospital in Ohio, I'd be there. You're going to start gathering with groups. You have got to show that it is safe for people to be outside and stop the nonsense of masks and temperature taking and COVID testing. And you got to stop participating in that nonsense, all right? People like us are I'm not, but a lot of people are demoralized because they watch all this go on and they think he's bought into it too, right?
Well, let me make the point that it's a psychological operation in the sense that the governors know that they cannot, under the Nuremberg regulations, they cannot do medical experimentation without informed consent. These masks are not only medical experimentation, they're killing people.
So
people
is social isolation.
Collapse, they're driving off the roads, they're committing suicide. So the other thing is that the governors understand that they cannot legally mandate the mask, so it's not a law enforcement issue.
Right.
It's a health department issue. And every single American has the right to say, I have a chronic condition that does not allow me to wear a mask, and there is nothing the governors can do about that. The problem is all the pod people killing each other because they're so afraid that they think that someone who's not wearing a mask is a threat because they're stupid.
Right. Well, and the problem is too, the stores are afraid. So they're saying you can't come in. So for all intents and purposes, if you're not wearing a mask, you can't buy food, you can't go in.
No, you're right. This has to be an educational campaign that opens the country no later than the 1st of April. By the way, let me just tell you, I sent all of this to the president and Donald Trump Jr. over 30 days ago. And my first analysis in the middle of February was exactly like yours. Yes. No fake pandemic, fear-mongering, whatever. Here's the problem. President Trump's communications are controlled. The deep state is keeping people like you and me from reaching the president, which is why this video, I'm quite certain YouTube is going to take it down, but not before it gets to BitChute. And I will get this video to Donald Trump Jr.
Okay, thank you. So you have to get out and you've got to be with the people. You've got to be with the people, all right? That would go a long way in making the flower shop owner who's going bankrupt feel a little bit better about everything. But you got to show that it's safe to be outside with people so that we stop this whole conversation about mail-in voting, which is another way to throw the election the wrong way, okay? We have to stop this discussion. And as long as everybody, including you, Mr. President, are out there making it look like it's not safe to go outside, we're going to throw, I mean, that's how you make the argument for mail-in elections, and we can't have that. And the third thing is you got to have a real debate, and you got to get Joe Biden out of the basement and to come to the table and debate. And if every day you're out there and we're finished with all this testing and temperature taking and all this nonsense and we're just done with it, more and more people will start to get out, and we will gradually return to normal by force of the people led by you. And it is your responsibility, sir, to do this before everything goes down the tube. And I just want to say something for the record. I'm an essential business. We make food here, we own a school, healthcare, right? We're essential. No matter what happens, we're okay. To a certain extent, everybody locked down makes me more money, but me making more money while everybody else suffers, I don't want that, all right? So I'm happy to let the whole world open up and we'll go back to the way sales were before all this happened, and I'll be a happy girl and my community won't be dying, all right? Because around me is disaster, every day more and more disaster. Out of the 3,500 emails I get a day right now, sometimes 4,000, I would say a full 50% are from people who are saying, my mother's dying in a nursing home, I can't go see her. My nephew committed suicide. We have no money to buy food. I passed out at my job yesterday because they make me wear a mask. Now I can't go to work and I have 3 kids. I have no place to put my kids. We don't have an internet connection that lets my children do their homework. And on and on and on and on. All day long here, we've even got volunteers now who come in here. We just talk people off the ledge. I take time, I stay up all night writing emails, personal emails to people because they're hurting and they're in pain and they need to just know that somebody's listening to them. And they don't feel like the administration is. They feel like the administration is beholden to Fauci, not the American people. And we have to change that.
Let me make 2 quick points here. One is we've had a year's worth of suicides in the last 4 weeks.
Yes.
And 2, the Trump campaign and the Republican Party are both stabbing the president in the back. They're completely out of touch with the public. They are spamming the people they already know. And the GOP is very deliberately trying to get Trump to lose because that's what Dick and Liz Cheney and all the other rhinos that are supporting Joe Biden want. Joe Biden is the deep state president. He's senile. He'll probably be resigned, and then his female black vice president, who will be a puppet, will be put in. I'm hoping the president will get your message. Is there any final last word that you'd like to say?
Yeah, I'd like to say this. I think sometimes it's very easy to exist in what I call the echo chamber. The echo chamber is where you're completely disconnected from the people. And everybody's telling everybody, we got it under control. We're going to make some big announcement some other time. And you think it's all just going great because you tell each other all day long it's going great. We have to be careful about that here. You know, we can tell each other we're all great all day, but sometimes our message isn't right. We have to fix it, right? So I think we have to come out of the echo chamber and listen to people like me who are close to the people. I am close to the people. I'm interacting with the people every day. And I'm not the only person saying this. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands of health professionals who would tell you the same thing. So come out of the echo chamber, listen to somebody else. If it's me or it's somebody like me, I don't care. But something has to change because there will become a point of absolutely no return.
Pam Popper, I agree with you. I'll post links to your work in the description to this video, which will not only be on YouTube, but also at BitChute, at the Unrigged channel. I'm going to turn the recording off now, and then we can chat a little bit more. But let me just end by saying God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the President of the United States of America.
Thank you.